We've all heard the old saying, the early bird gets the worm. It's been repeated so often through so many generations that it doesn't even feel like a piece of advice anymore. It feels like a fundamental law of nature, like gravity or the passing of time. We've been led to believe that if you want to be successful, if you want to be seen as a disciplined person, if you want to be taken seriously by the world, you simply have to wake up early. But it's not just about beating the sun. The world tells us we need to wake up earlier than everyone else. 5 o'clock in the morning. Maybe 4:30 if you're truly hungry for success. You've seen the glossy videos online. You've read the memoirs of famous CEOs talking about their sacred morning rituals as if they were the holy grail of achievement. They swear by cold plunges, journaling in the dark, and getting 3 hours of deep work done before the rest of the neighborhood even stirs. They call it the edge. They call it the secret advantage. And somewhere along the line, without even questioning it, you start to carry that weight yourself. You begin to believe that your worth and your future success is tied directly to that alarm clock on your nightstand. You start to think that if you aren't hitting the ground running while the stars are still, you're already losing the race. So you try, God knows. You really do try. You set that alarm for 5 a.m. You put your phone across the room, maybe. Even in the hallway, so you're forced to physically stand up to stop the noise. You go to bed early, telling yourself that tomorrow is the day you finally become that person. The day everything changes. Then the morning arrives. The alarm blares, pitch black outside. Your body doesn't feel energized. It feels heavy like lead. It isn't just a simple case of being tired. It's a deep cellular resistance. It's as if every part of your being is whispering a quiet, desperate question. Why are we doing this to ourselves right now? But you ignore the whisper. You push through because you've been taught that this struggle is what discipline looks like. You drag your heavy limbs to the kitchen. You fumble with the coffee maker. You sit down at your desk, bleary-eyed, in the silence, for a tiny fleeting moment. It feels like a victory. There's a strange sense of pride in being awake while the world is still dreaming. You feel like you've joined an elite club, the ones who have the grit to do the hard things. You tell yourself you're ahead of the curve, but then the fog starts to roll in. Slowly at first, subtly you notice your focus starting to slip away. You read a single sentence in an email, and then you find yourself reading it again. And third time, you try to concentrate on your work, but your brain feels like it's trying to run through waist-deep water. Your thoughts are sluggish. Your reactions are dull. You find yourself staring blankly at the glow of the monitor, not actually absorbing a single piece of information, and you tell yourself, just push through. It'll get better. So you keep going. You try to force the clarity to come. You try to bully your brain into being productive. But the harder you lean into it, the more your mind seems to shut down by mid-morning. You're already running on fumes by lunchtime. You feel like you've lived an entire exhausting day, and it's not that good kind of tired you feel after an honest day's work. It's a heavy, draining exhaustion. It's the kind of tired that makes every small task feel like a mountain. Decisions feel impossible. Even the smallest things, a loud noise, a minor question start to irritate you more than they should. Then comes the most painful part. You look at your phone. You see people posting about how they won the morning, how they dominated their day before breakfast, and how hustle is the only way to live. And the comparison trap snaps shut. You think to yourself, what is wrong with me? Why is this so easy for them and so agonizing for me? Why can't I just keep up? Slowly, that toxic thought begins to take root. Maybe I'm just not disciplined enough. Maybe I'm just not cut out for success. But here's the truth that the morning gurus almost never mention. The problem isn't your discipline. It isn't your work ethic. And it certainly isn't that you're lazy. The real problem is that you are trying to hijack your own biology. You're trying to force your body into a rhythm that simply doesn't belong to you. When you fight against your own nature every single day, it doesn't matter how much willpower you have. It doesn't matter how badly you want to succeed. You will always feel like you're swimming against a brutal current. Eventually, that current will wear you down. It won't happen in a sudden dramatic crash. It happens quietly, one exhausted morning at a time. Until you wake up and realize that the very habit you thought would make you a success has actually been the thing stealing your life's energy all along. Right now, inside your body, something incredible is happening. It's something constant, something remarkably precise, and something that has been guiding your life since the day you were born without you ever having to give it a single thought. You have an internal clock. I'm not talking about the clock on your wall or the one on your smartphone. I'm talking about a deep biological rhythm that dictates when you feel like a genius, when you feel like you need a nap, and when your spirit starts to fade for the night. This isn't some self-help theory or a passing wellness trend. This is hard biology. It's baked into your DNA. Your body follows ancient patterns, cycles of energy and rest, waves of sharp alertness and deep fatigue. Hormones rise and fall in a beautifully timed sequence that's unique to you. Cortisol, the hormone that makes you feel on and ready for the world, rises at a very specific time in your morning. Melatonin, the chemical that tells your brain it's time to rest, starts to climb when your body decides the day is done. These things don't happen by accident. They follow a schedule, but here's the catch. Your schedule is not the same as your neighbors, your bosses, or that motivational speaker's. This is the science of chronotypes. A chronotype is simply your body's natural loop for sleep and wakefulness. It's your internal timing system. And it is largely determined by your genetics, meaning you didn't choose it. And you can't just will it away. Some people are what we call lions. They are the natural early risers. They feel fantastic at 6 a.m. Their minds are sharpest before noon, and they naturally start to wind down early in the evening. Then you have the bears. This is the majority of people. They follow the sun. Their energy rises steadily through. The morning peaks in the late morning or early afternoon, and they sleep well when the sun goes down. And then they're the wolves, the night owls. If you're a wolf, you feel like a zombie in the morning, no matter how much coffee you drink or how early you went to bed. Your mind doesn't truly wake up until the afternoon, but later in the day when everyone else is fading. You come alive. That's when you're most creative, most focused, and most energized. Here's the most important thing you need to hear. None of these types are better than the others. They are just different. That's all. But our modern society doesn't see it that way. We live in a world that worships the lion. We celebrate the early morning grind and equate waking up with the birds with being a person of character and ambition. Because of this bias, if you aren't a lion, if you don't wake up at 5 o'clock, feeling like a superhero, you start to feel like a failure. You feel like you're broken. So you try to change who you are. You try to force a wolf's body into a lion's schedule. You try to live a life that doesn't match your DNA, and you might pull it off for a while. You can force yourself to follow the routine for a week, maybe a month. But underneath the surface, everything starts to feel off. It's like trying to spend your whole life writing with your non-dominant hand. You can do it, sure. But it's slow. It's messy. It's mentally exhausting. Every single action takes 20% more effort than it should. Over time, that extra effort adds up. It turns into chronic fatigue. It turns into a deep, nagging frustration. It turns into that hollow feeling of being perpetually out of sync with your own life. There's actually a medical term for this, social jet lag. It's what happens when your internal biological clock is in one time zone, but your work and social schedule force you to live in another. And just like the jet lag you get after a long flight, it ruins everything. It messes with your mood, your energy, and your ability to make good decisions. You could be getting 8 hours of sleep, eating the right foods, and doing everything correctly. But if the timing is wrong, if you're waking up when your body is still in deep sleep mode, it won't matter. You will still feel foggy. You will still feel like you're running on low battery. The worst part, you won't realize it's a biological mismatch. You'll think it's a personal flaw. No one tells us that our biology matters this much. No one tells us that productivity isn't just about what we do, but when we do it, so you keep pushing. You keep forcing yourself into a mold that wasn't made for you. And every day, it takes a little more of your spirit away until you eventually have to ask, is the problem me dot, or is the system just broken? Let me tell you about Alex. Alex was a true believer in the system. He wasn't a lazy guy. In fact, he was the hardest worker I knew. He craved structure. He wanted to be the best version of himself. He wanted to feel like he was winning at life. So when Alex first heard about the 5 a.m. club, it didn't sound like a chore. It sounded like the secret key he'd been looking for. He thought, this is what the greats do. If I want to be great, I have to do this too. He went all in. Every night, he set that alarm for 5 a.m. sharp. Every morning, he dragged himself out of bed through sheer force of will. And in the beginning, he felt that rush of pride. He loved the quiet of the house. He loved being at his desk before the sun even touched the horizon. He felt like he was winning, but eventually the cracks started to appear in the foundation. Alex was a graphic designer. His whole career depended on creativity, imagination, and the ability to focus deeply on complex visual problems. His work wasn't just about checking boxes. It was about seeing things, patterns, colors, and ideas that didn't exist yet. That kind of work requires a mind that is vibrant and alive. But at 5 a.m., Alex's mind was a ghost town. It felt slow, heavy, and completely unresponsive. He would sit there, staring at a blank canvas on his screen, trying to summon an idea, and nothing would come. Or if something did come, it felt uninspired, forced, flat. He'd spend 2 hours on a design that should have taken him 30 minutes. He started second-guessing every choice he made. He'd get obsessed with tiny, irrelevant details. The frustration would eat at him because he was doing everything right. He was waking up early. He was showing up. He was hustling. So why? Did his brain feel like it was broken? Then something strange happened late at night, around 10 p.m., right when he was supposed to be winding down for his early wake-up call. His brain would suddenly switch on. Ideas would start flying. Colors would make sense. Problems that felt like brick walls at 6 a.m. suddenly felt like open doors. He'd open his laptop just to check one thing, and 3 hours would vanish in a beautiful, effortless flow of work. He was two different people. The morning Alex was a struggling, foggy shell. The nighttime Alex was a creative powerhouse. But instead of listening to his own body, Alex ignored it. He felt guilty for being productive at night. He thought, this isn't discipline. Discipline is the morning. So he kept forcing the early hours. He kept fighting himself, and it started to bleed into his real life. He became short-tempered. He was always tired, even after a full night's sleep. He felt disconnected from his work and himself. He felt like he was chasing a shadow he could never catch, until one day, Alex learned about chronotypes. For the first time, he saw his life through a different lens. He wasn't lazy. He wasn't undisciplined. He was evolved. He realized that his prime time was simply shifted. So, he decided to perform an experiment. He threw away the 5 a.m. alarm. He let himself sleep until his body naturally wanted to wake up, usually around 8:30. He shifted his workday. He started his deep work in the late afternoon and evening, when his brain was actually firing on all cylinders. But change wasn't. Like a movie montage. It was gradual, but it was real. His mornings became calm and peaceful. His afternoons became productive. And his evenings, they became his superpower. That was when his best work happened. That was when he felt most like himself. Most importantly, the shame vanished. He stopped feeling like a failure because he finally stopped trying to be someone his DNA never intended him to be. He started working with his biology instead of trying to beat it into submission. And when that alignment happened, life changed. It didn't become effortless. Hard work is still hard work, but it became natural. When something is natural, you don't have to spend all your energy just trying to get started. You don't have to bully yourself into focusing. It flows. It makes sense to your body, not just your ego. Real productivity isn't about copying a CEO's morning routine. It's about having the courage to understand your own deep internal truth and then building a life that actually honors it.